What does it really mean to be present? This is kind of a topic I thought I'd talk about today. I don't know, just something I thought I'd delve into deeper only because it's so very important. I'm coming to, I guess right now it's just a belief, but it seems that much of spiritual progress, spiritual practice, pretty much the fundamental thing that tends to override in many systems is being present. Unless you're present, you really don't have much of a shot. And so I know there's a lot of people trying to become present, either through various practices or basically various systems that they've encountered, or maybe they've read Eckhart Tolle, Power of Now, that kind of thing. But there's a lot of people out there trying to become present. And I find it is something that needs a little more explanation because there's a lot of confusion. Now, I know that fundamentally, you can't be anywhere but present. And, the body, what's going on around you, everything is now. You can't take a past action. You can't take future action. What I mean is, you can't do something that's really future. You can only act in the now. Everything is fundamentally now. So what really happens is it's our mind. A lot of it's habit, but we think about past and future incessantly. Just like you may have heard the phrase being lost in thought, we become lost in the past and future. And it's what it is we're just totally distracted. We're not paying attention fully, deeply to the now. It's like we're, I guess, pulling back from our experience of the now and dwelling more in our mind and our head. And then that usually is past and future. Actually, it's always past and future. All thought is about past and future. And so, one of the ways of just totally becoming present is realizing that you can't really not be now, so it's more of a surrendering to the now, letting go of past and future. For a period of time, that's why this is usually said when people meditate, is they'll say, well, for this period of time, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half hour, whatever it is, nothing is so important it cannot wait until after practice. And there's no reason to dwell on the past because that has nothing to do with now. And so, in this frame of mind that nothing is so important that it can't wait. So you can put off whatever past and future thoughts you have and just reside in the now. Now, this kind of gives a clue in becoming present because it's not what you do. I find when people try to be present, they aren't present. It's not what you do, it's what you cease to do. You need to cease thinking about past and future and all that, and just come to this point of, stillness, silence, and it's just by your natural function, naturally. Now, as we get older, we get caught more and more in thought, so you might not remember, but our natural state, way back, was to not be thinking all the time. Our natural state was to be just totally rooted in the present, because that's all there was. And we were just totally in the now and experiencing the now. But as we get older, we tend to get more and more caught in our head. We're taught more, or it seems everybody else believes that the future and past is so very important. And so we tend to pay more attention to past and future. And it's almost a returning to the initial innocence of just being now. Now, that will also mention another kind of technique. It sometimes helps some people. It comes more from, I guess, Zen, is they say, when you eat, and when you sleep, you sleep. Now, when a Zen master said that, one of the students said, well, doesn't everybody do that? And he goes, no, when people eat, they have innumerable thoughts, and when they sleep, they have innumerable dreams. They don't just eat and sleep. And that can be applied to literally everything. It's more of well, think about when you're driving. I know a lot of people, sometimes there's anxiety or road rage sometimes when they're driving. And much of that is because we become so focused and attached to the future, or where we're going and what we will be doing, that we think of the now as boring and a means to an end and really not all that important, and rather be skipped and get to where we're going. And so that's what kind of causes this anxiety and irritation when things slow us down and everything else. It's this preoccupation with the future location and what we will be doing. And so you might want to try just driving. When you're driving, you know the location, you know the directions you're going, you'll get there eventually, but just drive. For that time period, just drive. And it's a different attitude. It's a different, I hesitate to say frame of mind, because you're not really dwelling with thoughts. It's more of a letting go almost of it's more of an attitude. It's just kind of a residing in the, I'm just going to drive. I'm just going to totally surrender to the action I'm doing now. Totally do it completely. And I find that when I just drive, driving itself is rather pleasant. I mean, remember when you first got your driver's license? Driving was the thing. It was so awesome. It didn't matter where you were going. As long as you're behind the wheel and driving, everything was awesome. And we lose that. But it can become that way again. It's just this matter of just driving and finding the joy in driving again. Everything. When you're doing dishes, you're just washing the dishes. When you're reading, you're just reading. I mean, you can almost keep it in the back of your head. Whatever you're doing, you're just doing that. And I guess it's kind of a practice at the start for a lot of people, but it helps kind of foster this just abiding in the now, letting go, residing. And it's very important to be able to do that. Now, I've also mentioned other practices where a lot of it comes down to fully, deeply experiencing the now. And so if you're sitting in a more of a meditative fashion of being present, you could feel the hands, the fingers, the hands, feel the body, inhabit the body, become conscious of the body, and feel it entirely. You feel the air coming in, you feel the lungs expand, you feel the diaphragm move. You try to feel, not try, bad word on my point, bad Eric, don't do that. Don't try. It's more of maybe a curiosity to be aware of as much as you can be aware. It's just more of just allowing however much or little you can be aware of, but with the curiosity of, can I be aware of more? And I find that tends to stimulate that you start finding more. You can feel more, you notice more. And as you become more and more anchored in this total deep experience of now, the mind slows and stops, because as I said, all thought resides in past and future. It's all about past and future. And so as soon as you're totally present, the mind stops. I find the mind really doesn't function in this constant, incessant thought when you're present. So, not saying you can't be present when you think, because if you're actually planning on baking a cake or whatever, cooking a meal, and you need ingredients, and you need to plan to go get them, you can plan in the present getting the ingredients. So it's not like all thoughts are bad, but by and large, you don't have to think that much. There's very few times thought is truly required. It's kind of like most people are thinking 90% of the time when you only need to really think 10 or 20% of the time. So it's this huge difference of the other end of the spectrum. But it's those moments of awe, of beauty, maybe it's danger, or in sports being in the zone. We all experience times where thoughts stop and we're totally present. But instead of it accidentally occurring, we're more of going the other way of trying to facilitate being present by ceasing to get distracted by past and future, trying to fully feel what's going on, and just doing whatever you're doing at the moment, and not, basically focusing on becoming anxious or worrisome about where we're going to get to, and that kind of thing. So that will do a great deal, I think, to helping being present. But it's really, like I said, fundamentally impossible to not be present. It's just that constant activity of the mind that's the trick, the revolutions of the mind. And so if we can just do what we're doing, I find that the mind isn't needed as much, so it slows down. So instead of the mind, the hamster wheel spin like mad, thinking about all the great things are going to happen once we get to our destination, not really paying attention to what we're doing, that's what's the problem. The issue is we're getting distracted. And so if we can cease being distracted, now when you cease being distracted, that may slow the mind down, but what is, I guess, there's an energy there. It's got to be taken up somewhere, so to speak. And that is deeply experiencing the present. So instead of the energy going out to past and future, you're actually putting it on present to deeply experience the now, to really see how vibrant the colors can be, really. I mean, when you're not really focusing on things, everything becomes very common, and kind of washed out. But if you really look at things, the shapes of trees, I mean, everything's very unique. Everything's unique. There's no repetition. As much as the mind keeps saying this is the same as everything else, nothing is the same. Nothing is the same. I mean, look at snowflakes. Look at anything. There's subtle differences everywhere. Fingerprints, snowflakes, like other things can't occur off the top of my head, but fingerprints and snowflakes in particular, we know there's never two identical ones. But that occurs to everybody, every person, every plant, every creature. Nothing is the same. Everything is different. And if we're totally in the present, we see those wonderful differences. And things are more alive. We're more engaged. We're actually more connected with everything, because we're no longer superficially going, it's the same, and discounting it. We're actually looking at it and going, wow, this is where you're different. That's kind of cool. It's it's reveling in the differentness of it. Everything is different. Everything is variety, and it's wondrous variety. I guess I kind of rambled a bit, but if it helps or if it doesn't help, I don't mind if you let me know. I'll put my contact information, my email address, in the description somewhere. But thank you for watching. Namaste.